Composure makes kings out of men. What is it that makes a leader? What is it that separates a leader from a man? Just any other man in the room. What is that differentiator that makes it so that that is the one we choose? It's not the one who makes the right decision every single time or who has all the answers. Making the right decision, we may want you to be accurate most of the time, but we don't necessarily expect the leader to have all the answers immediately. So it's not the smartest person in the room necessarily. Like we don't just pick like who's the smartest? You. Okay, you lead. It's not how it works, is it? It's not the wealthiest, most personable, charismatic. What is it? What is it that separates a king from a man? I believe it's a level head. I think a level head in any situation, under the most dire of circumstances, is the most valuable thing at that moment. At that very moment, it does not matter how smart you are outside of that moment. Does that make sense? If when the pressure's on and we need you most, you lose it, then it didn't matter how smart you were to begin with. If when the pressure's on, just because you're an affluent man who's able to gather resources, if you lose your head, then we can't depend on you. If you are a charismatic man, pressure's on, you break, we can't depend on you. I believe that is the fascia that holds a leader together. Composure. Composure makes kings out of men. In a situation where there's a lot going on around you, the ability to keep a level head is what separates them from the rest. And so, current state, hard not to talk about what's going on right now in the world in terms of, we spoke about it briefly last time, um, Iran, USA, Israel. There's a ceasefire agreed upon. Both sides fired in the short window that's left. It's clear that the president of the United States of America wants this war to end, and both sides don't seem to be uh, taking it in a very or in the most mature way possible. And then they seem to be taking little jabs, little blows at each other every way they can, and they don't seem to want to end this. And so to see a man like Donald Trump, who you very rarely see lose composure at all, to see him kind of, dropping the f bombs, it's a clear indicator that there are things going on, and we are on the brink of a lot going on. However, the reason why that is an indicator of anything is because in order to get into that position to begin with, he was under heavy duress, under heavy fire from all sides, all at the same time. There were court cases, impeachments, that he's been through so much, nearly got killed in the process of becoming president this year. And so when you look at a man who's been through that much and kept his head, that's why you want that guy to be your leader, because you know that it takes a lot. It takes everything to even begin to get to him. And so for him to be in the position that he's in, where he's pushing back heavily against a lot of the pressures that are coming toward him that are very unnecessary, him getting annoyed at that, it should be again just a reaffirmation in terms of who we think he is as a leader. Meaning, we want him to be pushing things away and putting people in their place so that he can focus on what matters. I mean, he made a big call the other day. It may go his way. Right now, it's looking tricky. Yeah, the situation it was never going to be simple, was it? But he is handling it. He's keeping his composure, and that's what you want in a leader. We take it, we put it in a South African context because I live in South Africa right now. That's what I'm seeing is lacking right now in terms of our leadership. You know, we talk about I'll say former chiefs, or whoever's in the royal houses sitting on the thrones right now. I really don't uh, believe in or recognize any sort of strength or power that I've been notified of, known of, heard about, any contributions from them towards community, any. And it's not necessarily a composure thing. It's more so that whatever God is the same thing that calls a leader, um, that calls a leader to champion for his people. It is certainly true, and it is without a doubt that whatever God is that voice. And it is certainly true that when that leader emerges, what is going to separate that leader from any other man in the room is if he can keep the most level head. I reference this poem very often because it's a very, very dense and profound poem that I think all young men, old men, fathers, sons should read, which is If by Rudyard Kipling. In it, there's a line that says, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. And I think it's a further reinforcement of the statement that is, composure makes kings out of men. You can really be, um, well, not necessarily an average man, because that would actually differentiate you from average. So, yeah, what I'm saying is, it's an oxymoron within itself, but I'll say it anyway. You can be an average guy who has decent levels of intelligence, decent leadership. Like, if you're just decent across the board, but you have the most level head in the room, then you will be the pillar. You will be the solid, rigid core, the backbone of the entire room, of the entire team, of the entire organization, but by extension. If you're the most level-headed person, then you calm everyone else around you because they don't know what you know, they don't know what you don't know, but they understand that we've all received the same information, and for some or other reason you seem to be calm about the situation. And because you're so calm, I therefore feel that your calmness is a reason for me to be calm, even though there may not be anything to grasp onto to make me as calm as you are. As long as I understand what it is that you are presenting, as long as I understand what it is that you are coming forth with, then I can, from that, just from that energy that you're giving off, I can understand that, okay, there is a lot of chaos in this world, but here, within this man, for some or other reason, there is stillness. And that is one thing that, and this is not to, pat myself on the back or rub myself on the shoulder, but just a living, breathing example of any time I've exhibited this. It is something that people have often commented on. And it's not necessarily always because I know things are going to work out, but I know no matter how bad the situation is, it's either we're going to figure it out or we're going to die. If we die, we won't have to figure it out, will we? It is not always to that extreme, but it's that kind of thinking, which is, it's either this thing gets solved or we move on. But either way, stressing about it is not going to get it any further, any closer to solve. And keeping that and understanding that and being able to keep a level head, regardless of the turmoil that may be around you, is something that really, really um, galvanizes you as a leader. And so the thing that people often comment on, or that I've heard commented on before, is me being in situations that are, quite dire situations, or quite almost hopeless situations, or where there's very little hope, or it's just a bad spot to be in. I've always had that ability, and I encourage you to hone that ability, because it may not have come naturally to me. Perhaps it was something that I built, and calloused over time, and now it's only exhibiting itself as I'm older, or perhaps I've exhibited it all throughout, but people are only commenting on it because they're noticing it as I'm developing myself as a leader. And what I'm trying to say is, that thing that is that calmness, that stillness, regardless of the pressures that may come through, is something that people really, really appreciate. Because like I said, if you are the pillar of strength that exists within that room, within that team, within that space, then you are giving them something, whether you are intentional about that or not. They are receiving that energy from you, and people will always appreciate a level head. And because in a space of chaos, a level head is the most valuable thing, again, you could be quite decent in everything else and emerge as a leader because of your composure, because of your ability to keep a level head. And so, last video, we talked about how to stay positive, stay in a good space, and believe that the future looks bright. And here we are echoing the spirit of the same message from a different perspective, which is, regardless of like, of course, you need to actually believe that the future looks bright in order to remain calm and understand that, like I said, it's going to get resolved, or we're going to move on, as long as um, as long as time doesn't break between now and the end of this event, then we will get through it. And as long as you keep some sort of core that is that, or resembles that, and you will allow that to inform the perspective and the energy with which you approach your fellow teammates, that is going to be the energy that will infect the entire organization. And so, if you wish to go from a man to a man among men, to a leader, to a king, composure is very necessary. That's all for today. Thank you very much. If you did in fact enjoy today's video, please do hit that subscribe button. I've been Sage, standing on business. Signing out.